What you're looking at right now is a change management SharePoint. What we have here is an example of could be any change management program where people may submit changes or requests for changes in different processes, different products that they have inside the company, or any other type of solutions. Now, what I'm going to show you is different examples of things that can be done. The first thing that can be done is have some very simple links that will tell you, hey, this would link me to another page where we can see different things like request a new change, and let me open it in another page, or check all the changes that are open, or you can even go to the history of the changes. If you have different calls, you see what has been talked in each one of those changes, or even check what available trainings are there in those changes. Let me show you the first two because the rest are just the same as the second one. The first one is going to link you to this, and it's basically a form where you can create a new request. So from here directly, you know, hey, this is the most important button. If I come here, it's probably because I have a change that I want to request. You click there, you come here, fill in this information. This that you see on screen right now is an app. It's a Power Apps that we have created completely customized for this. And all the information that comes from this app can be found on the second link, where it's going to show you the open changes. That is the second link on the homepage. These are all the changes that have been requested with their status, with different information that is requested for this program. Okay. Then other things that we have here on the homepage, we have added a simple list. This list will show us all the changes that we have based on their status, so that if we're running this program on a recurrent basis, we need to know always, hey, what's new, what's ongoing, what has been already approved and needs to stop, what has been completely closed, all of those things. This would give us a quick heads up of what's going on. We can always open and see more detail on each one of those things. And the last thing that we have here is other links that are directly connected to documents that we have on the SharePoint. In this case, this is just dummy information. You see that the text is just lorem ipsum, but basically you can directly link from your page to the most important, let's say, processes in your program, or as we call it here, any know-how that you need in your program, so people don't need to bother you on how do I do this, how do I do that, what do I need to do, what's the process for the meetings. You can always have documents for that and linked on the homepage, and whenever someone has any doubts, goes there and stops bothering you for that. Now, we have said that we can submit those changes and that was a custom app. So let's submit a new change. Let's say we call this change 255. This is the change description of what we need. This is the description. Doesn't make sense right now, but it makes sense whenever you have something to actually input here. Now the type of change, let's say it's a technical change, and I want this to go live tomorrow. I click OK. I'm not going to add any further information. I'm just going to submit it. Now this has been submitted, and we can go to our change request. Okay, these are all the changes that have been submitted. You see that I just received an email saying there's a new change request. And also, as the creator of the change, I receive another email with the ID. In this case, I'm acting as the requester, but also as the person who manages the program. So I'll get an email saying somebody requested something new, and also an email with the confirmation of my request and the input on that request. Here we have it, change 255. This is the change description of what we need. This is all the information. We see some information that has been automatically populated, like this submitted status, also the approval due date. We also have the go live and other information like the technical changes, and then information we have it submitted. Okay, now what can we do with this list? Another thing that can happen is that people just land here and want to create a new change. For that, they will click on new, and we will have this completely customized form where they can say, hey, I want change, I don't know, 300 with this description. And let's see all the details that I want to submit. I don't want to submit anything else. This is all I want to submit. I'll just submit it. Now if I go all the way to the bottom, here we have it. Change 300 with its description and the rest of information. As I was telling you before, some fields are not submitted yet because there's an automation behind that will automatically fill those fields so that we don't have to. Now, let's say I want to change this, but what happens if people want to change this, but you don't want that they change, for example, the name of the request? We could also do that. On this edit button, if we go back to the beginning, we see that the title, change one, which is the name of our request, cannot be touched. The same with the author. So whenever a change is submitted, all that information will be locked forever. There's other ways to change it, but basically most of the users won't be able to change that. That's another option. It depends on the options that you would like for your program. Other things that we have here is that with this change right now selected, I would like to, I don't know, request feedback on those changes. There's people in the organization that might need to provide feedback on the changes that have been submitted, and I would like them to do so that we know if we need to move those changes forward or not. How we do that? I select the change that I want feedback on. In fact, it will request feedback for all the changes, and we can have this option here, request feedback for submitted changes. This is another automation that we have created on the back, and it will be triggered only when there's an item selected on the list. If I do this, it will directly send an email to all the people that need to submit that feedback and tell them, hey, these are all the changes that are in submit status. It will also link to them the change and also link to them another form so that they can provide feedback on that specific change. Where does that feedback go? Because there's multiple people providing feedback for one change. We have another list, and it's this list called change feedback. Here you can see we have for each change 1, change 2, this example, this test. We have all the feedbacks that have been submitted, and we always have one empty, that is the one that is sent on the link. This basically gathers the feedback. They can approve it, deny it, they can provide some feedback on why they are approving, denying, or need more information, and yep, that's about it. Let me show you the different automations that we have in the backend, because that's where this starts to be more powerful. One other list that we have is the MOC meeting tracker. Basically what we're doing here is solve the issue with people asking all the time what happened on the last MOC meeting. Basically on the meetings for management of change, we always send minutes of meeting, and at the end of the day, people don't read them or they miss it or whatever. They come to you, you have to answer the same question over and over again because, hey, I cannot find the email, I wasn't in copy or whatever. Now what we do is automatically save all the minutes here so that they can go for, hey, for this meeting, these are the changes that were discussed and this is what it was discussed. This is also automated. As I was saying, let me show you all the automations. Let's start from the beginning, from the change requested. And I'm going to go to integrate and power automate. And you will see all the flows that we have, and there's plenty of them. The first flow that we have is this request feedback submitted when changes, which is basically the one that whenever we select something, it pops up here. How does that look on the email? I'll show you here on the actual automation in case you want to have a look on how complex it might look. You can see that it's relatively straightforward based on this trigger. Then we do a couple of variables. We get the items on the list that we want to create. Then we create as many items as necessary, basically as many requests for feedback as newly submitted projects we have or changes. Then we get all those new created requests for feedbacks, and we just compose the whole email that requires several steps, but it's quite straightforward, and send the email to whoever we want to send it. All of this can be changed. Right now it's just sending it to myself, but all of this can be modified. The email looks like this. Hi team, here are all the open changes that we're going to talk on the next call. Remember that you have to provide some feedback, and as I was telling you, you'll get the change link so that you can see all the details, the name of the change, the due date. Right now it's basically when this is sent, so nothing to see there, and the feedback, basically a link to be able to provide feedback. If we click here, it will open the change, but we will not be able to modify anything. So we are able to see all the information here, see further changes if someone submitted those changes, but we cannot modify the information that is in those. Now, if we go to the link for feedback, we will directly get selected the change that we're providing feedback on. Let me show you again. This was change 1. We get to exactly that element already pre-selected. We can provide all the feedback that we know that we want, approve, not approve, deny, all of that, and submit our feedback. All that feedback goes into the change feedback list. The other thing that we get are those automated emails. For example, hey, you just got a new change request. This is if you are, for example, managing the program, and you would be like, hey, these are the details, this is the ID, this is the name, the description, and who did it. Now, if you are the one who submitted that change, you will get something like this. Hi, your name, your change request has been created successfully, and here is your ID, in case you need that ID for something. We can change this and modify it to any information that we want to provide. The same for both of those emails. We can completely modify that. And finally, the other automation that we have is all those minutes of meeting that we basically want to capture so that we have them saved. And if someone has any questions on what was discussed previously, we will always have them there. So let's say MOC minute of, what is today? 25/06. Hi team, here you have the minutes of the MOC meeting. This is all we talked today. A lot of topics. Thank you, Guillermo. Now we send this, and as I'm one of the recipients, I will always send it to myself because that's the trigger of the automation. If I were to come here to MOC meeting tracker, I would be able to see the minutes of that meeting. Let me refresh it. And here they are. MOC minutes 25/6. And these are the minutes meeting. We can always open it and see all the detail with everything that was talked. So there you have it, one SharePoint as an example, a SharePoint that basically is completely customizable, from the forms to creating new elements on the list, to automations behind, to move files, to auto-populate fields on different lists, to request feedback, request approvals, gathering information from email and having it into a list of SharePoint, but also it could be done into folders if we have attachments of different files, and many different options that we have on SharePoint that are completely free to do. They just require some work. Things like all of these Power Apps that we can create based on the list that we have, the automations, or even Power BI reports based on this list. All of that comes completely with the Microsoft E365, I think it is, and any company that has Microsoft and that has Teams will have access to them. All of this is integratable with Teams and with any other tools. Probably SharePoint is the most basic of them all. I hope that was an example that will trigger some ideas for you. And if you have any questions, just contact us. We'll be more than happy to help you.